are entirely your responsibility. Okay? You do not get better unless you do the work. That is the simple fact of it. Owen can write up whatever he wants. I can give you whatever you need in the gym. However, if you don't take actionable steps that you are reflecting on and measuring, you're not going to do as well as you could do. Does that sound good? That is the crux of this. In that, we will go through a little bit of goal setting. Has everyone done a SMART goal before? Who hasn't done a SMART goal? It's okay if you haven't. Wicked. We will spend a small amount of time on that, okay? So you understand the concept, and then we'll be moving swiftly along. Sound good? Cool. So, you are responsible for your results, own it. That is generally the theme here, okay? With that, once you start taking responsibility for your daily actions, you're going to get so much more out of this training. And you'll get so much closer to your goals, and you'll probably realize that your goals could probably be pushed out and you could achieve more than you thought originally. Okay? It comes down to building momentum and building confidence in your training and doing that over a sustained period of time. Make sense? Cool. If you have questions at any point, please let me know. Okay? So, before we get started, okay, there's realistically 3 things that you guys will need to do. Okay, so after this session, before you go through the process, these are the 3 things that you're going to need to do. Number 1 is you've got to have a real honest conversation with yourself about what you want from swimming. Okay? I'm happy to say, as someone in front of you guys, in reference to the coaching program, we do not care what your goal is for swimming, as long as you're honest about it. Does that make sense? Your goal is your swimming, okay? We are here to facilitate your swimming and give you a successful swimming story. That's generally that motto that we keep throwing around the place, okay? But success for you may be different to Robbie or Max or what I was thinking was success back in the day, okay? So you need to have a look at what you want to get out of this sport, realize that, and then build this out accordingly, okay? And Owen doesn't mind what that is. We obviously do want a performance outcome here because it's an age and open squad, okay? But what level of performance that you want to attain is completely up to you, okay? The next step will be set a goal, and that's a SMART goal, and we'll go through a little bit of that just in a second, okay? And then the last thing you're going to need to do is have a discussion with your coach about it, okay? Your lives as an athlete will become so much easier when you're open and honest with your coaches about it, and your coaches will reflect that, okay? I know Owen can be scary at some points. I've been coached by Owen before, but the more you give that guy, the more he'll give you back every day of the week, okay? That's correct, isn't it, Meg? You'll take that? Yeah. That's what I got out of it anyway. And that's been the same with every coach I've ever worked with. The more you give these guys, the more they're going to give back to you. Okay? Cool. All right. So the elephant in the room, or the notepad in the room, is you've all got notepads. Okay? We kind of talked about it. These are going to be used today. So we're going to go through a bit of a system that's going to help you take your goal and then turn it into daily actions that you can then reflect on and make sure that you're being held accountable for. That is the goal of today. Lol. Okay? So quick overview on a SMART goal. Okay? Lots of different people write lots of different things for this. This is the one that I've landed on. There's a few variations. So a SMART goal has to be specific. You have to be able to measure it. It's actionable, realistic, and has a time limit to it, or is time bound. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Cool. Pretty basic, okay? So you saying that you wanted to, at some stage, swim faster is not a very good goal. It's not very specific. There's no time. We can kind of measure it, but other than that, it doesn't really work right, okay? So things to remember when you're setting these goals is make sure they're in your control. A lot of the time when I'm doing goal setting with athletes, or with swimmers especially, it's like I want to win gold at Open Nationals, or I want to win gold at Nationals. That's a great goal. However, you do not have control over the other 6 lanes or 7 lanes that you're dealing with. Does that make sense? So the way that you can have that goal still of being a national champion or a state champion or whatever you want, win Roto, triathlon, biathlon. What do you do now? Biathlon?
Triathlon, mate.
Oh, sorry. Second,
Biathlon, I've never heard of that.
isn't that only second in the world for an aquathon?
Yeah.
There you go, aquaphoning, okay? Other weird sports, okay? Whatever it is, it's absolutely fine. But you saying you're going to be a champion at it doesn't take into consideration a lot of uncontrollable things, and we're all about controlling controllables. Makes sense? It's all good to dream that you're going to be a national champion, but figure out what you're actually going to need for that, and then turn them into actionable things that you can control. Sound good? Communicate it with your team, okay? The best thing you can do is tell more people about your goals. I've found, in my personal experience working with athletes, or my actual goals myself, is when I tell people about it, they're much more likely to happen. Or I tell people that matter about them. I'm not saying throw it up on Instagram saying I want to do this and just getting a load of like, yeah guys, oh I'm so proud of you babe, all that crap, yeah? Like the people in your team that's actually going to hold you accountable to it. Your teammates, your coach obviously, parents, whoever's going to help you with that goal, not just give you a pat on the back and say, that's cool guys, okay? They will then help you and you won't want to let them down. You say something, you want to achieve it. I've got a feeling a lot of you guys in here, because you are swimmers, are probably, if you say you want to do something, you kind of want to hold yourself up to that. You don't want to be, you don't want to have that experience where you say you want to swim to Roto, but then I was going to say a naughty word there, you didn't go through with it, okay? And then everyone's asking you, oh, what happened to that Roto thing? You don't want to be in that position, okay? So tell people about it who matter. Be ambitious. I find that a lot of people try and play down their goals for whatever reason. Be realistic, but have a bit of ambition there, okay? I always say to guys when they're coming to me for goal setting is be ambitious as you like. I'll tell you if I think it's realistic or not. Or Owen will, or whoever your coach is, they'll have that conversation with, is that a realistic goal for you in that time frame? Make sense? Still good? And the most important thing that I've found, the goal actually needs to excite you. Okay? There is no point you writing down something that you think sounds cool, but you don't feel anything for. Okay? So if you have a goal and it excites you, you're more likely to get up every day and try and pursue that goal and get there a bit and really go for it. Sound good? Wicked. So an example, go 208 at Open Nationals long course 2025 in the 200 breaststroke. Cool. Kind of hits all those markers there. Specific. It's very measurable. Okay. Once upon a time that actually was my goal, not for 2025 obviously. I was a bit younger, but that was the goal that I had. The reason I had that goal is because it will put me in a target time area to make a team. Sadly, I didn't get there, but that's okay. At least I put it out there, I was ambitious about it and wanted to do it. Sound good? It wasn't necessarily unrealistic for me to be able to do that. My training indicated I could. Other factors popped up that made me not able to get there. Okay? Well, also in my control, but that's a different story. Sound good? Everyone understand a SMART goal? Wicked. All right, take 5 minutes, have a really good opportunity, have a really good go at it. If you've already got one, if you don't.
In the front or the back?
Well, at the front would be lovely. If you can see this would be page 1. That's going to be a different page, so do it on page 1, please. I will wander and mingle to see if you need help, but it also gives me an opportunity to shut up and drink a water. Also, guys, don't get too caught up on this. This is a rough draft if you've never done this before. You can refine it later. It's just so I know that you understand this concept because everything else kind of doesn't work otherwise. Yeah, you need the first page. If I can get to 5 minutes without telling you guys to hurry up, that would be an amazing achievement for my ADHD. I didn't. Where are we at? A minute and a half?
I haven't been there.
Oh, I was like, surely they're done. No pressure, guys. No time pressure. What is it?
Go to nationals.
Cool.
I just need to speak to Owen.
When?
Do you have a date for that?
Do you have a day?
This nationals, next nationals, the one that happened already.
Short course nationals, long course nationals, open water nationals. Write that down. What she said. When is that national?
Victoria, remember what I said, be ambitious. We can bring you back down and give you a bit longer time horizon for that goal if you need it. What? Well, if you want to make it this year, why is the reason you didn't write this year?
No, I wasn't done.
Oh. Oh, sorry then, continue on. It sounded like you were done. Good?
Yeah.
Figuring it out.
Wait, do we have to put our name?
It's your book. Guys, just remember, it's your book. I'm not taking them back off you afterwards. These are yours now, okay? So you don't have to write your name and I'm going to take it away later. Next one. Who else? Yeah.
So in 28:50 freestyle 2025.
In 2025? 25 season or before the end of this year? Or next year?
In next year.
So by like the end of December next year, you want to go that time? Awesome, cool. You're specific enough. I just want, we often get confused on calendars because my calendar works differently to everyone else's calendar. Well, you guys actually would appreciate that. Our calendars work slightly different to the Christmas, New Year one. Mine goes April to April. Yeah. Anyone else?
4:2400 by February 24.
Just like swim 400 metres by that fast?
Yeah.
Sick. 420?
4:20.
Come on, brother.
That's
My
very
PB is
doable.
4:35.
That's...
Very doable.
So it's,
PB's 4:35. You can go faster.
so it's
Haha, she's faster than you. No, I'm joking. Anyone else? And I promise I won't make fun of your goals. Too much. Boys at the back who are just sitting there being cool.
To get to nationals with 100 breaststroke within next year.
Okay, within the next year? Season or year?
Next year.
Yeah? Cool, sweet. Yeah, cool. Point of clarification, guys, work your life in seasons, like in the season rather than a year, just so we're not going, okay, Isaac, you want to get this time by December. Does that make sense? It's me being pedantic. That's a me thing. Talk to Owen about that if he wants it that way. Anybody else? I know goals can be scary, but we're all friends here.
Ethan, you said you had one before we even started writing.
Be taller than your dad by the end of the year.
To go sub 433, 400 feet to get the club record by this long course season.
Shit, yeah! Yeah! Anything else? Are we ready to move on? Anyone? Anyone got something different? Yeah.
I don't want to say the races, but qualify.
Why?
Because it's embarrassing.
Why?
Because
Why?
qualify for distance free 200 fly 400 IM for 2025 Open Nationals, which is on the 21st to 24th of April.
Great example. Thank you very much. So we've all got the concept of SMART goals now. So we can move swiftly onwards to the cool stuff.
Yep.
Excellent. Was that the cool bit for you? Oh, nice. How good. So yeah, great. Now you have a goal. What now? Or now what? Okay. This is where I have issues with goal setting because everyone's really good at writing a goal down on a piece of paper and then leaving it on a fridge and coming up with 0 ways to actually achieve it. That keeps them accountable in their training. So they just keep on doing the same old shit they were doing before. Sorry, that's happened already. Told to keep it PG, but we've done it already, okay? I've stopped myself twice, it's pretty good, okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Who has felt that about goal setting? Who's done goal setting before? Yeah, you write this really cool goal up, you have a meeting with your coach, and then all of a sudden It's just a thing, and you have no real way of tracking how you're going towards it apart from turning up to competitions every now and again. Your daily training doesn't change. It has no real effect on you as an athlete. Anyone felt that? Cool. You're in the majority. Some people can just do it, and that's absolutely fine, but I have found that most people fall down at that point. Okay? So this is what we are going to do now, and this is something that I don't know if it's done before, but I started doing it with a few athletes a couple of years ago, and as trial and error, and it worked. Okay? So pat on my own head for that one. Let's go. So 4 things that you're going to have to do, and this is what these notebooks are for. Is anyone old enough to have a training logbook just before we get started? Meg, did you have one? Yeah. Yeah, you would have had one? Did you ever do that? Or did someone tell you to do it and you never did it?
No, I've come across them.
Sweet.
Really done.
Training logbooks were these magical things when I was a wee whippersnapper that everyone wanted you to do, and you had to write all your sets out and remember everything and remember all your times and all this crap, and no one ever did them. And if you did, Meg, you 100% did it, didn't you?
I did it in training peaks. I still do it in training peaks.
Yeah. People did these things, and like you were expected, and then you were supposed to hand it into your coach at the end of the week, and no one ever did it, okay? Or in my experience, no one really did it, okay? And a couple of years ago, I went, I think these are actually a good thing. I think they've just been done really poorly, okay? Because the sets and reps don't really matter. It's measuring the efforts and what your focus points were, and then reflecting on those focus points that actually matter. Because that's, for you, the information that you need to take into the next session to get better, or to reflect back on before a competition and build confidence. Does that make sense to people? No one's going through their logbook at nationals, well, I don't know if you might do, personality types and stuff like that, and flicking through 500 logbooks of training sets they did. Fair? Is that something that you're probably going to do just before you go and about to smash that goal? Because that was the whole point of them, and no one ever did them. My simple solution fixes that often, okay? The way that we're going to build this out before we get into how that works, okay? So, things that you need to make sure that you can do. You need to identify, action, measure, and reflect. These are the 4 steps of how this works, okay? Identify, okay? What do you want out of your swimming, and how are you going to get there? We've done half of that already with the goal setting, okay? The how you're going to get there is the important bit, okay? Action, okay? It's obviously just doing the thing that you needed to do, okay? Measuring it in a way that's not going to take up 500 times of your lives and you're not going to do, okay? And then having a process where you can reflect on it. So then you can repeat the cycle again. Does everyone understand that as a concept right now? And is there any questions before we move forwards? Sweet, good. So, identifying, okay? This comes down to doing some research, okay? How many people in this room who had a 200 time? Ethan, what was your 400 time?
I did it in my short course. I know that one, and I know the one I did in long course, but that was last year.
The time you wrote down for your goal?
Oh yeah, sub 4:33.
Sub 4:33. Do you know what that breaks down to as a 50?
I think the 100s. No, I don't know.
When you're doing 400 pace work, do you know what time you're supposed to hit?
No, but I know what how much energy I should be putting in.
Awesome. Might be a question for Owen. Okay, I'm not sure if Owen's gone over pace with you yet because you're a little bit younger. Okay, however, does that concept make sense to people? Okay, when I was trying to do this 208, yeah, I knew exactly what pace I needed to do every time there was a pace setter on the board. I knew what task 2 was. I knew everything about it. I think it was a 34.0. Okay, don't quote me on that. Yes.
What, talking about pace work, how would you do that for 50s?
Talk to Owen about it. He'll be able to give you a lot of very detailed information on how to do it because he'll break it down from a dive 15 all the way through. So your dive 15s are what he's going to now measure and your movement from there. Okay? And we have all this information for you guys. You just have to ask most of the time. Okay? We are blessed, or I'm blessed as someone who employs these guys to have a lot of freaking nerds working under me. It is amazing because they have so much information, so much data, and they put it onto writing to give out to you guys if you need it. Okay? Meg, we have all those numbers, don't we? Yeah, it's all in a Google Drive somewhere.
Yeah, we have the ability to.
Source it and give it to you guys really freaking quickly.
Yeah.
Owen's probably told you before what you need you to be doing. Does that make sense? Yeah? All right? These are the bits, that's some key information that you probably want to figure out, yeah? Because if you want to go a 200 at whatever, you probably need to work out what your pacing needs to be. Does that sound fair? Excellent. Okay? So, identify where you're at. What is that pace number? Where is my pace right now? Make sense? How big is that gap? Okay? Figure this stuff out. What are you going to need to achieve it? Understand your strengths and weaknesses. We all have them. Okay? Sometimes we've got to bring weaknesses up. Sometimes we just need to maximize those strengths a bit higher. Okay? Again, with your coaching team. And then you come up with 1 to 3 training goals that are going to help you to achieve this. I suggest, as people who have never done this process before, start with 1 and focus entirely on that one thing, other than the obvious goals that you need to have in the training set that Owen's got for you. Sound good? If it's a threshold set, don't be trying to do your 200 pace that you're trying to get. Make sense? Do the sets as written, but then have something that you're working on to get yourself there quicker.
Would an example be Callum's underwater kick that he does in every
100%. The underwater kicking was one I was going to use because it's the easiest one to give you guys an example of. And going back to myself, yeah, I was finding in my 200 breaststroke that, especially short course, that my last 100, I couldn't maintain my underwaters. Obviously a really important thing in short course 200 breast, yeah? So I had a chat with my coach and we did double breakouts on everything, like double underwaters for everything. And it did not matter. And even in aerobic freestyle sets, I would push off and do a double breaststroke breakout underwater. Bit outside the box thinking, but that's kind of how I roll, okay? But that's kind of what we're looking at here because I knew that I needed to get my underwater to a level and it wasn't there yet. Not suggesting that you guys will do that because you guys are probably not at the same level that I was at that stage, okay? Not to brag, okay? You're second in the world, but you do triathlon, so it doesn't matter.
I'm not doing 208 breaststroke.
Exactly. Does that make sense? But these are the things you've got to look at. Where are your weaknesses? How can I get them better? Pick one thing, because we'll talk about frequency later. Okay? Make sure it's clear, make sure it's simple, and then set a period of X amount of time where you have no choice but to make it. Do it. So every session I would turn up and I would do 2 underwater breakouts. Didn't matter what day it was, didn't matter what set it was, I did it. I discussed it with my coach, so he knew that why I was doing weird stuff underwater all the time. Okay? And we had come to that agreement that that would probably be a good way for me to do that. Sound good? Everyone understand that concept? There's a theme here, okay? Come up with an idea, talk to your coach about it, do it. Good? Action. This is just doing it. And I have a few rules around this, okay? Rule number 1 is you never miss twice, okay? Be honest with yourself, and it's either you did it or you don't. And I know that's not great English, okay? To go over, you never miss twice. Who has an idea of what that might mean? Yeah.
I guess, like maybe you missed something one day or you didn't do your best at it and you don't just let it get to you and go, oh, I'll do it again, kind of thing.
Yeah. Other people talk. Yep.
Don't make the same mistake twice.
Pretty much.
In a row or just in a session?
Well, that is up to you and your own standard levels and how much you want to do it or what your goal level is and all those other things that you've got to ask yourself in the be honest part of this. Does that make sense? For me, I would let myself do it once, but I would never do it again in a row. So, for example, if I was doing my double underwaters and it was like a 200 and on the third one I really gassed out, I would do everything in my power to make sure that I could do it again. I would not make that last turn not happen. Does that make sense? It could, but it's very goal specific as well. Say you have an attendance goal and you miss one of the training sessions you're supposed to be at. And then there's another session that's coming up straight after that that you're supposed to attend. But you might not do it. barring injury or sickness or other changes of plan, yeah? Don't miss it again. I turned up late one day. One of my goals is I will not turn up late so I can do my dry land. You turned up late one day. That's okay. It happens to everybody. No need to beat yourself over the head with a stick about it, okay? But next time you do it, you don't let it happen. Does that make sense? Sound good? Cool. Honest with yourself, okay? Don't lie to yourself and say that you did something that you didn't, because that's not going to help future you. And then future you is going to be really angry at past you. And that's not fun. Okay? And then the last one is either you do it or you don't. What is also about a bit of the both of the two ones above. But that comes back to this point where we say make it really clear and make it really simple. Okay? You either do the thing or you don't do the thing. If you're going to do 6 kicks underwater and your goal is I will do 6 kicks underwater for the next 4 weeks, no matter what, very clear. No framework to lose it there. Does that make sense? If you say, I'm going to start doing more underwater kicks, not very clear, not very honest, very easy for you to give yourself a pass. You've got a question. Is that just your gaze?
Resting, thoughtful.
Got it. It's very concerning. I've been looking at you. I've been watching you and going, is he about to ask a question every single time I do it? Everyone understand action? Excellent. Is everyone getting this so far? Cool. Having fun?
Yes.
Not bored?
No.
Good. That's nice. It's good to know.
Excited.
Measure. This is you holding yourself to account. And there's a few things here that we measure. And we'll go over that soon. What's that?
Sorry.
No, please go.
Surprised at a face recording.
Yeah, so there's some weird ways that I've done this before with people, okay? So, I've given you all notebooks because I think that was, most of the time, that's the way that most people get it and do it well, okay? However, I have had people do it on voice note and they just continually just do voice notes. Bit harder to review because then you have to go back over it and it's a bit shittier, or a bit worse, sorry. Same with the video recording. However, I've had someone who made an Instagram account and it's private and all they did was every single training time they did that and 4 people followed it as well. Whatever makes you guys happy, do it that way. Again, it's about you guys doing it rather than you not doing it. Makes sense. I'm doing so well for time here. Okay? An overall session score out of 10, we'll go over that in a second, but realistically, 1 is the worst session you've ever had in your life. A 10 is the best. When you get out, you ask yourself a question. How was that session out of 10? And the first number that pops into your little brains, you'll put that down on, I'll do it now so I don't forget, the top corner. It's on the whiteboard. Yes, thanks, Meg. I'll get back to that in a second. But you'll put it on this top corner here, and there's a very easy reason for that later. Okay? Good? Sorry, I didn't mean to slam your book down. That was very disrespectful for the book I just gave you. Okay? These things can change over time, okay? Because if you did a 10, that is now your best session. So if you do another 10, your scores have obviously gone up. Make sense? Sound good? If you do a 1, that's your benchmark for the worst session ever. You do a worse session, not great, but you're being honest with yourself, and whatever reason it was, that's fine, okay? And then you'll have your session focus on there, your focus, what went well, what you need to improve, and what you're going to do to make it happen, okay? There's a whole thing on the board here that we'll go through, but I've got my doodad there that will hopefully work later, okay? When we go through this as a team. Reflect on it, okay? I am not an overly hippy-dippy mindfulness kind of person, okay? I see the value in it and I do some, but I'm not like everyone needs to reflect on everything in their life, and if you want to do that, absolutely up to you, whatever you guys need to do. However, reflecting on sessions gives you insights for the next session you're about to do that is probably going to be helpful. And by you actually going through a process rather than just walking out the door and just forgetting about everything you just thought about and writing it down and committing it to a piece of paper and giving yourself some action plans, subconsciously, you give yourself a much better chance of doing that better next time. Does that make sense to everybody? Victoria, are you okay there? Your eyes were flickering.
I wasn't hurting, sorry.
Oh, it's an eye thing. Okay. It's not you're falling asleep or you're blinking with confusion? Okay, thank God. I was like, oh dear, is there a stroke or what, have I done something? They're stinging? This is emotionally getting to you, is it? Okay, we'll continue on. Well, next time I do a presentation, make sure you're wearing bloody glasses. Don't do it twice. Okay? And then the post-action period reflection. What is, after your 4 weeks, reflect on what you did. Did you do it? Did you not do it? Was it too hard? Do we need to adjust the goal? Did I feel like I got good benefit out of it? All of these kind of questions. Again, we'll go through it. Any questions on reflection or reflecting? No deal? Excellent. Is Deal or No Deal still a show?
I never understood the point of the show.
Well, it's either you get a deal or you don't get a deal.
I never understood.
How's it that hard to understand?
Why? Why do people watch it?
Anyway, and then you repeat this process. Guys, we'll stay on topic. Sorry, that was my bad. I drifted off then. Then repeat the process, okay? So every 4 to 6 weeks, you go do this. Probably don't redo your goals unless you've kind of realized that your goal was either, you know, shooting under or shooting a little bit too over. Then you could probably have a reflection on, do I think this goal is attainable? I probably should book a conversation with my coach about it and move on from there. Yes, question?
So in the 4 to 6 weeks, would you do like the entire thing again? So don't only do it, like redo your goal, if you've like...
I wouldn't redo your goal, but you'll probably have another, the idea of this is you would have learned a habit that you would then need to build on. Does that make sense? So after 4 to 6 weeks, you might have gone, cool, I can now improve on this.
But say like your goal was like get a specific time by this time, and then that
Yep.
time passed.
Yep.
Would you just do it again, or just like make the time faster?
Make the time faster because you've gone past the time you wanted to get it. Well, you just rewrite your goal. So if you get to so the SMART goal at the start, okay, is where you kind of base all this information from, and then you put it into your little 4-week block. Does that make sense? Okay. If you go past your goal point, you probably need to reassess your goals. So if it goes past nationals and your goal was go to nationals, you need to redo your goals because that is past now. Make sense? The training goals, I like to do them in 4 to 6 week blocks, 3 to 6 week blocks. And then you have an opportunity to go, okay, did I nail these? How many times did I nail it? Is it now a habit? Do I need to can I improve or do I really need to focus in on this? Yeah? Great question. Does that clear that up for people? You're not necessarily going to go through your entire SMART goal system again and come up with your new yearly goal. Good? Excellent? Wicked. Important to know, I thought I'll give Ethan a little cameo. So, what's that? Where's Ethan? He's still swimming. He's crushing it.
Who is he?
Well, that's okay. He was a Malaysian bloke that turned up for a while and he's awesome. Yeah, he's...
I mean, that's a nice amount of medals. I like the look of that.
Mate, that is cash money, that medal stash, because
Yes, he's very...
SEA Games get you cash money. Those Asian Olympics, big time money. Anyway, continuing on. Well, unless you want to become Malaysian or Indonesian or the Philippines or any of those ones,
I know some of them went to Japan.
you can give it a go. Like if you want to do it, I'm coming with you. SEA Games is the best international competition I've ever been to, Southeast Asian Games. I went as a coach. Yeah. No, I didn't get any money.
You got paid.
I had to pay to go there as well. It was boring,
Paid go.
but it was a good time. Well, I paid to go because I was a coach. Business expense. Anyway, continuing on with our topic of today. I've lost everything now. Okay, yeah. So important to note, what you want in your swimming is entirely up to you. We said that at the start. I just want to reiterate it because when we do talk about this, we start talking about nationals and internationals and whatever, like really lofty goals, winning Rottnest, all those kind of things. Okay. Your goal is up to you. Whatever is going to fulfill you or make you excited about your swimming is what we want to focus on here. Whatever that next step is for you. Sound good? Okay. And the detail of this process that you're going to need to go through, like I mentioned when Ethan was talking about effort rather than times, okay, may differ based on your age, your goal, the amount of time you spent doing this, all sorts of things, your level of training and stuff like that. but you still need to go through the process. You still need to gather information, come up with actionable things that you can do at training and go from there. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Not everyone needs to do double underwater breaststroke breakouts or 6 to 8 kicks underwater. Okay. Does that make sense? Cool. And as a fun note, you can apply this process to any other thing that you want to do. Okay? So the school, work, whatever. Okay? Next. Okay. Do we have a volunteer? Renee? Rio? Sorry, I don't know why I called you Renee then. I'm so sorry. You can stay there, or you can come up.
Please go up.
You can come up, it's fine. And this is where I'm going to try and make my fancy pants technology work, and we're all going to go, woo, wow. And I won't have to use the whiteboard. It's actually heaps easier if you're sitting down. Sorry. Now, I'm assuming as we've been doing this, you've been kind of having a bit of a think about what you need to do, yeah? About what you've had a little bit of a think process about this?
About my goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some suggestions and stuff like that, so we're not just going to be digging this up?
Yeah.
Cool, awesome. That's okay.
Oh, suggestions about your presentation?
Yeah, like based on what we've been talking about. All right, come on, cool thing. Hang on, open settings.
Personally, I quite like the Training Peaks system. It makes it really easy to do.
Training Peaks, I was going to ask someone about that. Is it really good? Yeah.
I like it. I mean, I've used it for years, and it's good with triathlon, with the rowing, playing, swimming.
I've heard a lot of good things about it. It's on my list.
It makes it really easy as a training go. Like
Yeah. All right. Of course, it didn't do it. I've practiced that 4 times today, and it didn't work. Yeah. Cool. Do you want to do the pen writing? You're better at spelling than I am. Okay, I'll do it. Goal. Goal. So guys, this is how I want each page to look like. So page number 1 is going to be your big SMART goal. Okay, that was very flamboyant of me just then with the cross leg. That was great. Okay, big show. So that's what that's going to look like. Very simple. It's just going to have the goal on the top and what do you need to achieve it.
So what you need to achieve is like the 3 to 4 week goal.
Well, we'll get into it. Just have the bits written up.
Like, do we write it?
Well, you'll need to write your goal up. Let's start with writing your goal at the top of your page. Everyone's done it? Huh? Yes, please.
So a 32.40 in 50 backstroke by long course states.
Cool. What was your question quickly?
Is this like our smart goal or our session goal?
Your SMART goal. That's why it's at the front. SMART goal. Cool. What was it?
Swim a 32.4 in 50 backstroke.
Swim 32.4 by
Long course states.
long course states.
Yeah, in backstroke.
Backstroke. Shorthand for me today, okay? Good. Rio, what are some things that you think you might need to do to achieve that?
Get back up to normal training load.
Okay, what's your normal training load?
6 sessions, 2 hours.
Okay. Six times 2 hour sessions by?
The end of November.
Is that something that you guys have already discussed with Owen and everyone in your team, or is that just something you're going with?
Something I'm going with.
Sweet, that's fine. I just wanted to check. End of no. I'm going to put a little extra bit there, and I'm going to say consistently, okay?
Yeah.
Awesome, cool. Another thing. What else?
Well, I also have to swim. I'll have to.
Okay, pause that one. To get this,
Yeah.
what are some things that you might need to focus on, that you can focus on?
Not being so injured.
Wicked, cool. Great answer. Let's break that down a little bit to something we can actually deal with. Big word with an R in it.
Recovery.
That would be good. How is your recovery right now? Okay, we can go into that. How much sleep do you need?
Me personally,
Well,
8 hours will go with that.
8 plus. And that is that consistency thing again.
Yeah.
Because if you have a bad night and you get 4 hours sleep, if you then got 12 hours sleep the next night, do you think that will make up for it?
No.
Good. It doesn't. So it's the consistency of the 8 hours that's really important. What else is good for recovery?
Stretching. Food. Money.
Highly debatable. I would go with nutrition. Yes. Excellent. Another thing, what else is really good for recovery?
Rest.
Hydration. Good. What else? Anything else? They're the three big ones, so we can kind of leave it there. But what else? Any that you like specifically? Do you have like a massage gun that you like, or?
Get my shoulders massaged.
Yeah, you like a little bit of a rub down? Sweet, cool. I'm not going to write that up, but at the end of the day, does that make sense? Cool. So we've had this big thing here. What's kind of what we're trying to achieve? And then we've got a few things here that will help make that happen. How else can we help make that happen?
Train hard.
Return to 6 times 2 hour sessions by the end of November consistently. So with that, how else can we try and return to 6 times 2 hours? Do you have a plan to do that?
Return to 6 1-hour sessions.
Yeah, like, huh? Yeah. I would just write down, because this is something that you would have to talk to someone else about, come up with a plan. Yeah? Come up with plan. Sound good? Because you're not going to be able to know how that breaks down otherwise. Example, guys. Sound good? I would then use stuff like, okay, what pace do I need to be going? What does my dive need to look like? What is my if you're going to do it, if you had something that was a turn, what does my 5 to 15 time need to be? Okay. What heart rate should I be resting at? What does my stroke count need to be? This is how much detail you can get into it if you like. Okay. Obviously, the further along this path you get, the more detail you're probably going to want to have. Okay. However, for now, think about the biggest things that you need to do to make something happen and start there before you get too granular in things. Make sense? Cool. So if we just continue along with this one, if you're happy with that, cool. You guys would need to put more things here, because that one thing is probably not going to result in that. It's probably a very big part of yours, to be fair, but there's probably other things that you'd be able to come up with, right? Okay? For the purpose of time, we will move forwards. Does everyone understand this? Okay? Quick note on this. Doesn't have to be right now. Okay? But you actually going out there and figuring out some stuff for yourself, if you're all just copying this down, like, probably not very specific to you in terms of that example, right? But the format needs to be there. Does that make sense to everybody? Cool. Any questions on like this bit here? Because it's quite important. No? Good? So another example for me using my breaststroke thing, for example, I identified that I needed to work on my back end, my last 2 turns, and I was getting gassed out after doing short course states. So I went, okay, I need to do that. How am I going to do that? And I wrote down little suggestion points. There was a few. We then picked the best one. Does that make sense to everybody? Cool. This is your brainstorming idea time. So when you go to your coach and go, hey, Owen, I've come up with all these things that how I can think I might be able to get back to my 6 times 2 hour sessions consistently, because I think that will be very important for my goal. Sound good? Sounds like a bit of ownership over your results, right? Yeah, Ethan?
When should we like talk to Owen about this? Like this session?
When should you talk to Owen about it?
Yeah.
I'd probably ask him.
I generally talk to Owen on like a Friday morning. I do that before a big race, kind of like.
Yeah.
Let's say I have a race in 3 months. I'll say, look, this is what I want from it. Can we meet up for some morning after training?
there's also a link in the age group chat on WhatsApp to book a session with Owen. It'll take you to like his calendar so you can book in a time there. But I would speak to him about when the best time is if you would want to meet him in person rather than over the phone.
Okay, does that make sense? Again, asking Owen questions is a great way to go about figuring out when he needs to, when will be a good time for you guys to chat. Okay? Everyone's got busy schedules, so you need to kind of have a little bit of a chit chat. The calendar link works. Well, it worked last time I looked at it. So click on that and he'll either text you back and say, hey, I'm not available that day, I didn't update my calendar. Percentage chance it might happen. Or he will go, sweet, let's chat. We can do it online or in person. What do you want to do? Or he won't reply and just assume that you'll turn up to the meeting. Probably that one.
Sounds like him.
Could be that one. But, you know, everyone got this bit so far? Wicked. Now, once you've got this information, we can then come up with your important parts, okay, that you can control. So, Rio, what I'm going to go with for you, mate, is I want to be that one. And if you haven't got that one, I'd probably coming up with that one. That'd be two. That's two pretty cruisy ones. I think you and your return to swimming full training is probably the biggest thing that you can tackle right now. Sounds like it. It's the first thing you said, so normally that's one of them. Okay, so I would be probably looking into how consistently is that happening. If you're pretty comfortable that you're getting 8+ hours of sleep most nights, good, move on to the next thing. Make sense? You've got to be honest, again, be honest with yourselves. Okay? It's also very much something that is either you do it or you don't, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like that is all under your control into some degree. Okay? I understand sometimes you get home late at night and you've got not a lot of time to get up for the morning, but there is ways that you can extend that out to get that a bit better as well. Okay? Like having food prepped, whatever. There's obviously parents to consider in this as well. Okay? But if you aim for a higher percentage, that's going to be obviously beneficial for you. Okay? How is your sleep?
It's not too bad.
You think it's pretty good?
Yeah.
Sweet. So if you think it's 8+ hours, like on average across the week, move on to the next bit. Okay? If you're doing the thing, don't spend the next 6 weeks trying to do the thing still. Yeah? Because then you spent 6 weeks doing something you're already doing or trying to focus on something you're already doing. Sounds good? Wicked. Next bit. Now, flip your pages, please, and try and make this into your workbook.
Not with that sort of space.
You're going to need some spacing, obviously.
Yeah.
It would have been good if my Remarkable did its thing, because I had that all spaced out. If you need 2 pages for it, go for it. Again, it is your book. Just leave that top corner available. No, you don't necessarily need a date right now. Guys, the date's not really that important right now because you actually haven't done a training session yet. Okay? So, when you are doing this, I'm going to talk while you guys are templating this out, yeah? Because you need this template for all your other pages. Cool? Yes? Discussions? Cool. You'll need a date up here. Session focus. Now, how many of you guys know what today's session focus would be?
I know what it is for me.
Excellent.
It's recovery.
If you do a session and you don't know what that focus of that session was, I'd probably ask. Okay? They generally repeat themselves. Correct, Mega? Yeah, cool. They generally repeat it themselves each night. Okay? That week. Monday will normally be the same as the next Monday. So on and so forth. It's normally how it happens. If Owen changes that, that's absolutely fine. Okay? But that's generally what's going to happen. And then you'll actually know, oh, the session focus changed. This is a bit different than what we did last week. Oh, and why are we doing this differently this week? Sound good? Cool. That's where your session focus would be. That would be kind of a small bit where you'd write pace, if it was a pace set. Okay? Good? Sweet. Did I achieve the focus of the pace set? Did I hit my pace or my efforts if you're doing effort-based stuff? Yes or no? Okay? These are the questions that you need to ask yourself, and your standard for that will be your standard. Okay? My standard for that was I either hit most of them or I didn't do it. I will probably give myself 1 or 2 that I didn't make. Sound good? And again, it's not like you're beating yourself up over it. It's just, I did that today. Awesome. Reflect on it. I love pace work. Not a lie, I do love pace work. That was my jam. Okay? Sounds good. Does everyone understand that part? My focus. Okay? Now, Rio, you've got a very much a recovery out of training focus over there. This is where I'd probably give yourself 2 and have an in-training focus. Does that make sense?
Is it the focus? Sorry, is it the focus for the session you just did or the next one?
The like, what am I bringing to the next 4 weeks?
Okay.
Like, what am I focusing? Yeah, what am I focusing on in myself? Like, what I've identified would be something that's going to be key for me. Okay, for the next 4 weeks. Okay. If it's attendance or whatever, that's absolutely fine. Pick your thing, go for it. As long as you're actually thinking is probably key here, okay? Everyone's still with us. Good, you'd probably write that down and you're just gonna keep writing that down every single time because that's not gonna change, okay? If you get to a stage where you can think about multiple things in a single training session, have multiple goals. But if you're not getting one of them, don't give yourself 3 of them or 2 of them. Does that make sense? Pick the number 1 thing that you think that you need to work on yourself. Okay? Sound good? And do that. Did I achieve it? Yippee! I did do doubles. Going off me, I'm going to write normally. Doubles under water. I did do my double underwaters. Yes, I'm happy. I will then reflect on that. How you reflect on stuff is completely up to you. Okay? Thoughts that you had about session, anything. Okay? When you're reflecting, use these as your questions to help you with your reflection. Okay? What did I do well? Even if you've got a 1 up here, I hope you did something well and you're leaving that session with something that you did well. Okay? Try and find something. If you can't, be honest with yourself and say, the whole thing was a write-off, I might as well not have gone, or just don't write anything in that box. Does that make sense? What do I need for the next session to make sure I can make my goals next session? I need to make sure I get some sleep. I'm feeling really tired, I might eat a little bit extra food. When I come in next time, I'm going to talk to Owen about this thing, because I didn't quite get it, and I didn't have the time to ask him in the set. Sound good? Reflection stuff is all about you guys figuring out what you need. Okay? And then that's every session you do. Ooh, we've got no time. The score thing, put that in the top corner. Again, it's your 1 to 10 scale. And the reason I do that in the top corner, and here's my big reveal thing, come here, is because you know how we talked about no one wants to go looking through their training books at the end? It's really easy to do it if you just kind of like go. Okay, and the number you put down to the most is the number you're going to see. Okay, so if you're constantly at an 8 and you flick that, you're mostly going to see an 8. And you're going to be like, man, I'm good. 8 out of 10 for most of my sessions, that's pretty cool. Does that make sense? Very quick and easy way to identify, did I do my sessions really well or did I not? Good? Everyone's still with me? These things, and this is something that doesn't have to take you 5 hours and you don't have to try and remember every single thing you did in that session. Okay? So you're probably really likely to achieve it and do it. Now, before Owen gets really grumpy at me, at the end of your block of training where you're having this very specific goal that you are focusing on in your training, okay? So this won't be the 3rd page, it'll be at the end of your training block, but have it written down now so you have it for reference, okay? What's my average training score that I achieved? So just go through all your trainings and go, if you want to be mathy about it and add them all up and then do whatever averaging is nowadays, whichever average you want to have, do that. I would probably just look at it and go, most of those are an 8. Sweet, I'm putting an 8 down. Cool? What was my average attendance? Did I attend a lot of sessions? You'll probably know that yourself, okay? By how much, ooh, my hand just cramped. Ooh, that was bad. And then how many times did I achieve my training goal? Wicked. Reflect on it. What did I do well? What do I need to improve on? What am I going to change? Do I need to change? And then that can feed into your next training goal. See how this can now stack and build on top of each other. So we're getting incremental improvements all the time, and you are focused in what you're doing. Any questions? Because that's me done. I timed that pretty well, seeing as we started 5 minutes late. Any questions? Awesome. Your homework is to do it.
Just once.
Well, if that's the standard that you want to have, that's the standard that you will have. Okay?
How are we going to email this to Owen? You know, like,
Well, you're going to do it in your book. Well, firstly, you would have to go through the start of the process and do your SMART goal, communicate, have a meeting with Owen about that SMART goal with the information that we provided last time, and go, this is what I'm going to do as my action plan moving forwards. Do you agree with that, or do you think there's something else that I could work on? And Owen will go, yeah, cool, maybe this, maybe that, maybe this, maybe this. Talk to Ryan about this, talk to Adelaide about this, talk to Meg about this, talk to this person about it. Because funnily enough, we have a huge network at your disposal of very highly skilled people who work in swimming. And then I hang around with them and become smarter. Okay? Okay, so if you've identified that nutrition is your thing, we have a dietitian and they will give you a free initial because we have organised that for you guys. Okay, if you need help with your recovery, book a call with me. I'm happy to talk to you guys about recovery. My knowledge of it will probably be very applicable to you guys. Huh? Send me an email, we can go from there. They're called All Bodies, because I don't want you guys losing too much more water time. Okay? But yeah, email me through. Okay? My email is obviously ryan@formidablestrength.com.au. Yes?
If you know we have like multiple things to work on, how do we decide what to like approach first?
Have a guess at what I will probably say. One guess. I will talk to Owen first. Yeah. You will probably have a feeling of what it is that you need to work on first. Again, pick the thing that you can actually measure and actually action. Okay? And then come up with a way that you can measure it if it's a bit ambiguous. Okay? For example, if you've got like breaststroke, again, because I did breaststroke. I tried to change my breaststroke kick at one point. Okay? How do I know that I actually did that each session? I asked Owen repeatedly, hey, is that better? And Owen gave me feedback. And I said, Owen, how did that look at the end of the session? He said, that looked better. You were getting it. Actually, Ryan, your leg was doing something weird. It looked terrible. Okay, Owen, that's how I felt as well. Thank you for that feedback at the end of the session. I could have used that earlier. Sound good? Yeah? It's about you guys taking accountability here and coming up with ways that you're going to measure it, because I can give you a load of suggestions and you're happily able to email me. I'll book a time with you. I will sit down with you guys for an hour and go over this process in more detail and come up with ideas from you. But I'm not, unless you're in the gym, I'm probably not the person you need to be talking to. Unless you need to talk about the process itself. The actual training goals and actions that you're going to have here, there's someone really smart out there who can tell you everything you need to know. Sound good? Or ask Meg, because she's probably heard it from Owen anyway. Sound good? Did everyone get something out of that? Does it sound better than writing all your sets down and trying to do that for a year?
Yes.
Thank God for that, because that was the goal. Cool, guys. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your little workbooks. Enjoy my pens that are now your pens. And I will see you guys around.